The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can together. You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
Just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the
website. You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team. Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. As you are aware, on Saturday we drafted Mencham County and it came out with a colossal sum of 36,352 US dollars. Slowly but surely we have come this far. This Saturday will be the grand finale of the county war draft, as this weekend we come to FACO, the FCT of Ambazonia, the Federal Capital Territory. Why is the FCT draft imperatively important? That we'll look at in tonight's Undaunted. As is the style of the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, he gave a resounding speech on Saturday during Mencham draft, reminding Ambazonians that our freedom is inevitable. Ambazonia independence had been restored and we must be recognized through dialogue or not. Speaking of our freedom, we had Professor Martin Ayim, Chair Presidential Advisory Council, who stated, amongst many other things, that our quest now is for the recognition of Ambazonia as the 55th nation in Africa. This is the message going forward since October 1st. We already restored our independence and government of Augustine Ngumjua, listing all the criteria of a country that we Ambazonians already have. He says, please hammer on recognition. Every time, everywhere, anyhow. As this position uniquely distinguishes the people's interim government and tells the international community exactly what we want going forward. Nobody, even La République du Cameroon, can play the fool with this quest. La République du Cameroon is called upon to be the first to recognize Ambazonia if they do choose to be good neighbors with us. The People's Interim Government and President Samuel Ikome Sako are knocking doors seeking recognition now. That is the message to the international community since October 1st, 2022. We are all ambassadors of this People's Interim Government policy. This was what he concluded with Professor Martin Ayim. Now, this interesting development is only a tip of the iceberg compared to all we have for you tonight. And we'll dive into all of that, but just after the prime headlines.
And these are the prime headlines for today. The Ambazonia Restoration Forces intensifies firepower at the home front. Also today we're going to be looking at this story. Ambazonia is united in Monday's lockdown. In-house slave room mayor tastes bitterness as angry government said dinner boom Anthony's house ablaze. Ambazonia must be recognized or not. Analysis of the president's speech. I'm sure you do not want to miss that. Also today, armed bandits claiming to be Amba fighters have killed a resident of Unquain in Bamenda local government area. Also today, we're going to be looking at this powerful story, the power of the law. Sisiku Ayuk Bay versus Nnamdi Kanu. I'm sure you don't want to miss it as well. Also in Africa, EU renews calls for truce, peace talks, rebels vows to respect ceasefire. And in sports, Marrakech and Rabat to host the CAF Women's Champions League 2022.
The Amba War Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we draft. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers?
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front?
Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communication equipment to maximize their efforts?
Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics?
Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy?
On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country?
Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical, intelligence, and other special operations across the national territory?
As we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Ambazonia die as a wish because we failed to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting a great people.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It is Award 22. Let us draft until we drop. The weekend was bloody for the enemy La République du Cameroon genocidal forces. Reports reaching Undaunted says in Bui County, the boys of Major General Chokandu attacked the La République Gendarmerie Brigade located in Squares Kumbo local government area in the morning hours of Saturday, October 15th, 2022, during which the warriors engaged La République du Cameroon terrorists in a serious gun battle under raining conditions, killing 3 of the enemies and wounding many. The report ordered that the mighty warriors equally gunned down a drone that the terrorists sent up in the sky, hoping to gather intelligence on their locations. Undaunted benefited from the Bui County security team to gather these facts. On another successful front, 2 La République du Cameroon colonial gendarmes were killed in an Ambazonia restoration forces ambush in Ndo local government area, Donga Mantun County. Undaunted learned that the Ambazonia restoration forces killed 2 La République du Cameroon colonial gendarmes on Sunday, October 16th in Donga Mantun County. And of course, this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Oni Balance Smart is here as always. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Oni. Good evening, Ambazonians. The victims named Arup Tuang, Mat Gai, and Nkwa Ebode were killed in an ambush laid by the valiant Ambazonian Restoration Forces, who immediately harvested their weapons and abandoned the bodies, which, according to the colonial Republic military sources, were only waiting for a helicopter to transport to the Nkambe mortuary. Now, the incidents took place in a locality called Kaka and Ndu local government area. Undaunted equally gathered that Sergeant Nkwa Ebode was just recently posted a week ago to head the Gendarmerie Brigade of Nkambe. The 2 victims were ambushed early Sunday morning while on a motorcycle to a checkpoint 2 kilometers from Nkambe and had almost arrived their destination when they were ambushed by Ambazonian Restoration Forces and all guns carried away. In August this year, two other La République du Cameroon colonial soldiers and their civilian aide, a motorcycle rider who used to carry the enemy forces around to harass the population and extort money, were killed by the Nkambe Ambazonia restoration forces, still within the vicinity of Nkambe local government area. As you can see, these are the videos from this, pictures from this report.
And moving forward, instituted since 2017, Monday lockdown demonstrates solidarity of Ambazonians to get to their nation free from invaders. Adopted as one of the moves to render Ambazonia ungovernable and civil disobedience move, Monday lockdown rekindles the spirit of oneness in the people of Ambazonia. When the people decide to shut down their businesses and other income-making institutions for a complete day, it is enough evidence that they are aiming for what is the sacrifice. Total liberation from La République du Cameroon is the final goal of each and every Southern Cameroonian for obeying the Monday's lockdown, commonly called the lockdowns.
Undaunted reported days ago on how sporting activities is now one of the major occupier to the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia on Mondays. Mondays because it is a generally observed lockdown in the whole of Ambazonia, a lockdown not just to render Ambazonia ungovernable by La République du Cameroon, but also a demonstration of the people of Ambazonia fighting for the restoration of their statehood. Well, Undaunted took upon the streets of Bamenda today, October 17th, 2022. Businesses are locked and offices shut down. In respect of lockdown, people prefer to ground every economic activity of solidarity to the struggle. Many denizens in Bamenda, talking to Undaunted, qualified Monday as a God-given day for them to denounce La République du Cameroon's government. Now, some have taken upon themselves to go to their farms on Mondays. Others prefer having time in family, and others choose to involve in sporting activities. Most of the activities the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia do involve in is individual as well as collective sports. Running, group dance, the playing of football, and handball are always on the menu. At the inception of lockdown in 2017, people accepted it. Going through the day was a very big challenge, but today, it is a day lovers of sport for with anxiety. The different colonial administrators in Ambazonia have done all to rescue Mondays from lockdowns to no avails. And we've reported such attempts, colonial administrators sealing shops of owners for respecting Monday lockdowns with heavy fines paid by shop owners, shops unsealed and more.
In Bamenda, the in-house slave city mayor Paul Achambong had put in circulation shuttle buses to substitute cabs on Mondays, given that cab owners on Mondays he equally engaged in the distribution of food items on Mondays, a move to lure the people out of their homes. All these different attempts is just to kill Monday lockdowns and have it all ended fruitlessly. Now, the people of Southern Cameroons now have a new way of living on Mondays in the entire Ambazonia. While many have embraced, to others it is a day to put the house in order, commune with family, and part of various developmental-oriented meetings in the neighborhood. All right, they Undaunted captured some of the scenes in Bamenda. How serene the environment are. Nobody is at the shop. All the
Absolute
shops,
lockdown.
yeah, all the shops locked down.
The colonial government of La République du Cameroon has put in place this guise decentralized structures in the name of councils. This institution is not recognized by the Ambazonian interim government, given that it is an arm of the colonial La République du Cameroon government with an objective to maim the people of former British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Elections in two such so-called councils are always marked by corruption of diverse nature and perpetrated by administrators loyal to the Bia's regime. The peoples of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have lost confidence to this institution, and those occupying seats in instance. Popular call holds it that all in-house slave working with La République is working with La République du Cameroon's government. Gunmen in Womb local government area have set the residence of the in-house slave mayor to the Womb Council ablaze. Is it not but normal for citizens to force politicians to do the needful?
Inhabitants of Womb local government area woke up this Monday, October 17th morning to the news of the burning of the residence of the in-house slave mayor of Colonial Womb Council, Dighabang Anthony. Shock and consternation gripped them as of who might have done such an act. From information gathered, some 5 armed men stormed the residence of the municipal magistrate, surrounded occupants before setting the house ablaze. Undaunted have a discourse with one of the occupants of the house who was an eyewitness to what happened. According to him, he says, "We were in the house where 5 heavy armed men stormed the house. In total fright, we asked what they wanted. They made us understand that they never came for us, but just to burn the mayor's house." He goes on to say, "We were then asked to step out of the house as they set the house ablaze. From what happened, it is clear that they had a well assigned mission, and that was bringing down the house, given that they took nothing out of the house." Now, to know that Mayor Dighabang Anthony OV was born into the family of a wine tapper, Baba Dinghabang, and a full time housewife, peasant farmer Mami Eziga Njay, on June 17, 1970, he is presently the vice president of the colonial unit councils and cities of Cameroon. As at press time, no reason had been given or advanced by whoever is behind the burning of the house.
We the people, Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, has said it and reiterated again last weekend at the Menchum County War Draft that Ambazonian independence had been restored and must be recognized willy-nilly. For this to be realized, he went on and said all Ambazonians must put their hands on deck, bearing the hatch more than ever before to empower the valiant restoration forces to increase firepower on homeland. Dr. Saka requested for a minute's silence in honor of all the valiant fighters who have drafted their lives for the struggle and thousands of innocent denizens fallen because of this useless war.
The president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia described Menchum County as a very strategic one, linking the savannah with the Midlands, endowed with enormous potentials like the Menchum Falls that must be harnessed for the welfare of the bordering nation. Dr. Sako lauded the efforts of Mr. Peter Coombe, who is the chairperson and his executive, for revamping the county and rekindling hope after Cooper, spoilers, and greedy fellows almost killed or hijacked the vibrant Menchum County through greed, blackmail, and infighting. In this light, he called on the Ambazonia Restoration Forces in Menchum County to remain vigilant and watch out against skirmishes from distractors of La Republic du Cameroon and their CPDM agents employing the services of the Fulani headsmen to stir trouble and perpetrate indiscriminate killings of innocent denizens in the county.
Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako acknowledged that in spite of the skirmishes and blackmail from the enemy, the Amazonian Restoration Forces have stood tall as a loyal army and should never relent. Dr. Sako appealed to all bona fide Ambazonians to put aside their differences and draft like never before in order to fortify the restoration forces, play the enemy to pack out of homeland. And to the forces, Sako had this message: let the armed restoration forces of Menchum wake up to a new reality, encourage them to continue their patriotic duty defending homeland.
All right, the president also talked about the La République du Cameroon's Canada talks, and he said it's a charade. The president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Ikome Samuel Sako, has described the so-called La République du Cameroon organized talks in Canada as a mere charade and another monologue for federalists, unionists, and the worn and indivisible Cameroonians to relax and lavish taxpayers' money chasing shadow while the war and genocide persist unperturbed. Dr. Common Sense, as President Sako is fondly referred to, was categorical that peers withdrawal from the Swiss-led process and opting for Canada and picking his Anglophile shows the green, the red, the yellows, and says is a big distraction and underscored that we are fighting a lifetime war and nobody can distract this liberation struggle, and we will only collaborate with those fighting the enemy instead of the interim government.
Yes, Dr. Sako also urged bona fide Ambazonians that they must gird their loins, fight as one man through drafting, and frustrate and shame La République du Cameroon and its cohorts impersonating in Canada, as they represent only themselves and their stomachs. Meanwhile, prior to the Ambazonian president's keynote address, Mr. Peter Kum, chairman for Menchum County, had presented a hitherto bleak picture of his erstwhile rich and blessed county ruined by the genocidal regime in Yaoundé. He recalled inter alia the Menchum falls with potentials to generate electricity through our West Africa, but sidelined by La République du Cameroon. Peter Kum regretted that La République Cameroon man-made bomb tested at Lake Nyos that took away 2,000 innocent lives, cattle, deformed survivors, and others. The Airboom area development Editorial, which had been an economic hub employing thousands brought by the Germans, but ruined by La République du Cameroon through its divide and rule policies.
Now, in this light, he called on his fellow brothers and sisters of the Menchumite to retaliate by drafting more than ever before to empower the Ambazonia Restoration Forces to liberate homeland. At the end of the day, the draft yielded a colossal sum of $36,352 US dollars. Let's get the president's speech.
My fellow compatriots of Womb, Menchum Valley, and Fungom local government areas, dear Ambazonians in the home front, you have shown utmost resilience and perseverance amidst the daily massacres that take place in your locality. You are convinced in your spirits that this fight is our life and we must continue on. We attain the only logical end that will guarantee our victory. The current leadership of Menchum, under the watchful eyes of Chairman Peter Combe and his executive, has been leaving no stone unturned to revive this great county following the turbulent period of failed. Our valiant Ambazonia Restoration Forces in Menchum, fellow comrades in arms, you are the foundation of our national army. The IG restored our state, the state of Ambazonia, and you, our ARFs, are the first Department of State that we activated in October 2017. From the 1st of October 2017, we restored our independence, and so we no longer seek independence. We seek international recognition. Every nation must have an army that defends its territorial integrity. And in our case, our army consists of our community volunteers loyal to the country. You are seen as a legitimate army defending a sovereign nation. You don't belong to an individual or a group. you belong to the state of Ambazonia, represented by this governmental authority called the interim government. That's why it is impossible for anyone fighting under the authority of a legitimate governmental authority to be labeled a rebel. ARFs, you are not fighting to overthrow Paul Biya, so you are not Cameroonian rebels. We are not like UPC or April 6 coup rebels who took up arms to bring about a regime change in La République du Cameroon. Those were rebels, but we are the soldiers for another country defending our nation and our people. How do you expect the international community to trust and recognize Ambazonia as a country with an army that is not wholly under any governmental authority? We have reached this far in this liberation struggle because of you, our Ambazonia Restoration Forces. We do not equate your sacrifice for nation to any other sacrifice in this liberation war. Volunteering to defend homeland is how high in honor any patriot can go. So I say thank you, dear diasporan sons and daughters of whom Isu, We, Furawa, Zoa, Fongom, Befa, Benakuma, Modele, Mukuru, etc. Fellow financial warriors and supporters of Menchu. What is happening in Canada is a non-event. At best, it is Grand National Monologue Part 2. Anyone who called himself or herself an Ambazonian, yet attended that La République du Cameroon organized charade in Canada, is either ignorant of the rules or is just some blue and white contractor auditioning for a hire. Those people should never be present or represent Ambazonia at any table of. They want to help La République, who are desperately trying to avoid mediated talks in favor of unmediated talks. Unmediated talks means direct talks with them. Any possibility of direct unmediated talks turns this conflict into an internal affair amongst Cameroonians. The same reason La République du Cameroon gave for withdrawing from mediated talks. They said they wanted it to be a talk between Cameroonians. Let it be known that diplomatically, Ambazonia is fighting on two fronts only. It is either recognition or recognition. First, recognition through mediated dialogue or recognition without dialogue. Let us open a new chapter in our liberation for Menchum tonight. Let's begin this night with our generosity. Let us put the necessary tools in the hands of these brave ones, our sons and daughters, to fight and win the fight of our lifetime. Dear Ambazonians, let us not relent. The darkest hour of the night is at dawn. Viva the great people of Menchum County. Viva our brave Ambazonia Restoration Forces. And may God bless our beautiful country, Ambazonia.
And this is breaking news. Reports reaching Undaunted newsroom this evening confirms of reports that there has been cross-firing since 6 p.m. Amber time in Muya between the Ambazonia Restoration Forces and La République du Cameroon colonial forces. Now, of course, we are closely monitoring this, and hopefully we'll be giving you details of the outcome during tomorrow's broadcast. So please, you are cautioned to stay safe and low if you reside around the Muya environment. And the news continues with armed bandits as they kill a resident just after the break.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
Now, reports coming in says Ndonwe, popularly known as Issa, was shot in the head at a close range at about 10 p.m. on Saturday, October 15, at a place called Speed Break. He was shot by a group of armed bandits who reportedly claimed to be Amba fighters. They call themselves Ambas, whereas they attack people, terrorize, kill, and steal from them, especially in Mentor, which they have transformed into their farm, a local lamented. Now, Issa's corpse was reportedly taken to the Bamenda Regional Hospital mortuary, where it is pending burial on Wednesday, October 19 in Nkwem. Now, according to locals, he's an unfortunate victim of circumstance. The men believed to have shot him had come from a revenge mission after two of theirs had been killed by the population following a robbery attempt.
Well, those who were with Issa the same day he was killed say they are still to come to terms with the shocking incident, which is very typical. Denizens bemoan, "It's terrible that you talk with someone now, the next minute he's gone. This is a big lesson to me. One has to be ready at any time. We leave it all in God's hands." Another says, "How it pains me so much mourning our dear ones killed in such a barbaric manner. It's time people stop terrorizing others. Killing our own like this is taking us nowhere. We all need peace to reign amongst us. From one funeral to another, all caused by another person, is unhealthy for our society," another local said. Issa was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, just so hurting. Besides, he couldn't run because he had a very serious problem with his legs. When the other group of Ambas, quote, came to revenge the death of the colleagues he couldn't run to get inside his house, others escaped death by the grace of God. Now, Undaunted also learned that when the armed individuals arrived for revenge, they fired shots in the air saying they must spill blood to avenge their brothers killed by the population.
3 other persons were injured and are currently undergoing treatment. Among them is a patient who was sitting outside the clinic around the attack scene who got shot in the leg. Sources says it is an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty reigning in and out of Nkwem. Mayor Fungu Cletus Tanwe has called on the population of Alalia and Mentel in particular and Nkwem in general to be more vigilant, continued denouncing and collaborating with competent authorities for these criminals to be flushed out of the municipality so that serenity can be regained. All right, and stories around Africa. The chair of the African Union on Sunday called for an immediate ceasefire in Ethiopia's Tigray region and urged parties in the 2-year-old conflict to agree to direct peace talks. The Ethiopian government and its allies have been fighting the Tigray forces on the off since late 2020. The violence has killed thousands of civilians and uprooted millions, with hundreds of thousands now facing possible famine. Meanwhile, the town of Shire in northwestern Tigray has been bombed for several days in a joint offensive by Ethiopian and Eritrean troops against the Tigrayan rebels that have resulted in several civilian casualties.
A member of the International Rescue Committee, IRC, an NGO providing disaster relief, was killed and another wounded in one of these attacks on Friday, which left 2 other civilians dead, according to the IRC. And after UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed concern about the escalating violence, AU Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Quote, the person urged the parties to reiterate their commitment to dialogue in accordance with their agreement for direct talks to be convened in South Africa. He added a statement. In response, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, rebels said they were ready to respect such a pause in the fighting. Quote, we are ready to respect an immediate cessation of hostilities. We also call on the international community to force the Eritrean army to withdraw from Tigray, to take steps towards an immediate cessation of hostilities, and to put pressure on the Ethiopian government to come to the negotiating table, said the TPLF. Shortly before, the U.S. Department of State's Africa desk has said on Twitter that the priority was to achieve an immediate cessation of hostilities.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, the power of the law. If you are just joining us, well, you may have missed out on a very important discourse that was just right after, before the Undaunted news this evening. But we'll try to give you a summary of what was discussed. Now, Sisiku Julius Ayuktabe is an Ambazonian separatist leader and is the disputed first president of the unrecognized Federal Republic of Ambazonia. That is what they say, but we know that we are recognized. Now, his presidency started with Ambazonia's unilateral declaration of independence on October 1st, 2017, with Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian Consortium United Front forming the interim government of Ambazonia and Tabe, chairperson of the SCACUF, as president by acclamation. Now, by the time of this declaration, a separatist war between Ambazonian and the La République du Cameroon security forces had been raging for about 3 weeks. At first, Tabe and the interim government rejected the idea of an armed struggle, preferring instead to focus on civil disobedience and a diplomatic campaign to gain international recognition.
Truly, President Ayub Tabe's stand was at odds with the declaration of war by President Paul Biya of Cameroon in November 2017 and the deployment of troops in the Anglophone regions. President Sisiko Julius Ayub Tabe and other Amazonian leaders were arrested in Nigeria and extradited to Cameroon in January 2018. Meanwhile, Nnamdi Oku Kanu, born 25th September 1967, is a British Nigerian political activist who advocates for the cessation and independence of Biafra from Nigeria. He is leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, which he founded in 2014. Now, the main aim of IPOB is to restore the separatist state of Biafra, which existed in Nigeria's eastern region during the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970. Nnamdi Kanu, according to barrister Tim Mbese, says, originally Nnamdi Kanu was charged. He jumped bail and obtained a British nationality as well as a Nigerian nationality. But when he was in Kenya, he was arrested and brought back to Nigeria and was just recently released.
Now, in essence, it can be said that what Nigeria did to Nnamdi Kanu is what the La République du Cameroon did to Sisiko Julius Ayuktabe. Now, according to barrister Fron Junso, he says, and it seems like in the international law, it's not active when it comes to non-Cameroons and Nigeria. They do not observe the international law, is what he says. He says Nigeria has a more organized judiciary system than Cameroon's. He says, in as much as both countries look alike when it comes to the judicial system, he says that Nigeria has a more free judicial system. Meanwhile, barrister Tim Bisha feels like the moving of arrested suspects from one country to another is illegal under the law. Politically, Nigeria and Cameroon are the same and have the same interests. He says this may be because of Ambazonians that were brought in from Nigeria to Yaoundé. Now, also a high point to note is that when we have our sovereignty as Ambazonians, no one can arrest any citizen of Ambazonian illegally.
And on the other hand, the Canada conference is still ringing bells as barrister Emmanuel Ashu opines that it's okay for Cameroonians to dialogue and talk that if they can't talk at home, they can talk abroad. And so the Canada Conference is a welcome development, which we strongly disagree to. But Barrister Fruit John So also said that Barrister Ashu is not an Ambazonian to start with, and is talking because he has an interest to protect. On the issue of passports, he says a passport doesn't mean that you are a citizen of that country. It should also be noted that La République du Cameroon does not approve dual citizenship, but Ambazonians will approve of it. It should also be noted that Ashu is promoting the Unity Warriors. Just so you know.
All right. And right about now, we have something very interesting for you as our editorial. You do not want to miss any part of it. Let's get the editorial right after the break.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
In our editorial tonight, Dr. EML and Dele's CPNC party gives us 10 reasons why Southern Cameroon should not join La République du Cameroun. The first says, if we join Nigeria, we shall be a self-governing region like the other 3 regions in the Federation. We shall be equal to any of the 3 regions before the law of the land. And we shall be entitled to send the same number of senators to Lagos like any of the 3 regions of Nigeria. In other words, Southern Cameroon shall maintain its territorial identity within the Federation of Nigeria. Cameroon Republic does not make the same provision for joining her. There are no Southern Cameroons if we go to Yaoundé. There is no Senate there, and in fact, no valid federal constitution between Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroun. It has been drawn up. The reason is if we join Nigeria, our House of Chiefs in the Southern Cameroons will not be abolished. It will remain and become even stronger than it is now. But if you vote for Cameroon Republic, you will endanger the interests of our chiefs because there is no House of Chiefs in Cameroon Republic, and Mr. Ahijo has made it clear to Mr. Foncha that he does not intend to create a House of Chiefs. The third reason would be Southern Cameroon at present has the same system of land ownership as in Nigeria, where there are no European settlers. In the Cameroon Republic, the law permits Europeans to become settlers and to acquire large areas of land for their plantations, leaving little or nothing for the natives. If we vote for union with Nigeria, we shall continue to enjoy the excellent land tenure, which protects the natives from becoming tenants of white settlers. We shall preserve our land for our own farms, and we shall be free to plant our own cocoa, bananas, or coffee. If you vote for Cameroon Republic, your little farmland will be at the mercy of white Frenchmen. These Frenchmen are reliably understood to be planning to take over the CDC plantation in Victoria and Kumba divisions and to stop the native banana trade. Now the fourth would be everyone in Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia is familiar with the money we spend. It is Nigerian money. It is steady and strong. But anyone who has been to the Cameroon Republic will agree that French money is steady. Today you change UI for $1,000. Tomorrow UI can fetch you only $600, and so on. If we vote for union with Nigeria, we shall continue to enjoy their strong and steady money in our trade. But if you vote for Cameroon Republic, you shall be inviting their unsteady money, and you will at once notice that your bananas, your cocoa, and your coffee will fetch you less than if it was bought with Nigerian money. Now moving on to the fifth, nearly everyone in the Southern Cameroon has heard the word freedom. Our association with Nigeria for nearly half a century has made us realize what to move about freely, in public freely, to worship freely, to speak out our minds without fear of molestation. These freedoms and many more will continue to be ours if we vote for union with Nigeria. But if you vote for Cameroon Republic, you will invite a new system under which everyone lives in fear of the police and the army. You will not be free to move about, you cannot lecture freely or discuss your political views in public. You must carry your tax receipts round your neck like a dog, and you can be arrested and flogged by the police and even imprisoned without a fair trial. The CPNC believes that all decent people in the southern Cameroons who have a taste of freedom will be sensible enough to vote for union with Nigeria. Freedom is too sweet to be thrown away. Now 6. If we vote for union with Nigeria, we shall continue to share the same judicial and legal system. If you vote on Republic, confusion will immediately set in because British laws are not the same. If we remain with Nigeria, we have the right to appeal to the Federal Supreme Court in Lagos and from there to the Privy Council in London, which hears appeals from all Commonwealth countries. This system ensures that every case is given a fair trial. But under the French system, you cannot have that fair trial. Anyone accused of an offense in the Cameroon Republic is manhandled and flogged and is generally a criminal. Even the most junior policeman there seems to have the power of life and death over the common people. This is a bad system and must be rejected by others. 7. Nigeria is populous and rich country, made so by the joint efforts of Nigerians and Cameroonians working together for nearly half a century. If our people vote for union with Nigeria, we shall continue to share in the prosperity and strength of the Federation of Nigeria, but a vote for the Cameroon Republic will be the signal of new economic troubles in the southern Cameroons. All attempts by Mr. Ahijo to borrow money from the World Bank have met with failure. Mr. Ahijo sent 2 economic missions to the World Bank, but he was refused the money he wanted. Nigeria, on the other hand, has received substantial loans from the World Bank because Nigeria is respected abroad and she is credit-worthy. Moving on to 8, if you vote with Nigeria, the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia will enjoy through independence is truly independent. If you vote for Cameroon Republic, you will forever fail to secure independence for the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia because Cameroon Republic is still a colony of France. French troops are still stationed in Douala and Yaoundé. Mr. Ahijo cannot drive them out even if he wanted to. These French troops are there for 2 reasons: to prevent Mr. Ahijo's government from being overthrown and to protect the interests of the many thousands of Frenchmen who have settled there. The CPNC maintains that it is no use for the southern Cameroons to move from the British colony system to the French colony system. We must move into the true independence with Nigeria. 9. The KNDP, which is spearheading the movement of unification with the Cameroon Republic, is not even sincere to its own conscience. This is shown by the behavior of Mr. Foncha and some leaders of the KNDP, who, it has been noticed, are shamelessly receiving Mr. Ahijo's financial assistance whilst at the same time bargaining with the UPC and other opposition men from Douala and Samba to overthrow Mr. Ahijo's government so that they can take over. The result of such double-faced policy will be to drag the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia into a whirlpool of intrigues between Mr. Ahijo's government coalition and the opposition parties there. Now, the 10th reason, the CPNC has compiled with the United Nations plebiscite resolution by presenting to the people concrete constitution proposals under which union with Nigeria will be based. The constitution was prepared in 1953, in 1957, and in 1958, and all shades of political opinion in both Nigeria and the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia took part in this discussion. The KNDP, on the other hand, has until the moment of printing this pamphlet failed to comply with the United Nations resolution and has therefore left the people completely uninformed of the exact constitutional arrangement for union with the Cameroon Republic. The effect of the KNDP failure will be that the United Nations will inevitably be constrained to regard all votes cast for the Cameroon Republic at the plebiscite null and void. The only votes which will be counted as valid are those cast for the CPNC ideology of union with Nigeria, because the CPNC has fulfilled the terms of the United Nations resolution. Now, voters are therefore warned not to waste their votes for the Cameroon Republic. Who amongst you would like to live in a country where your life and property are constantly in danger? Who amongst you, peaceful citizens of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, would like to live in a country where you may be shot as you move along the street, or your wife killed as she toils on the farms? Who amongst you would like to live in French Cameroon, a country red with blood of thousands of innocent victims killed by terrorists and the Ahijo regime? Who amongst you, good citizens of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, would like to live in a land where people's houses and shops are burnt down every day and looted, where you can be arrested without a fair trial? Who amongst you would like to live in a country which lacks complete respect for human dignity and where you cannot speak out your mind freely or pursue your business in peace? Surely none of you. Who amongst you would like your children to grow up in servitude? Surely none of you. That is exactly what will be our lot. Now, if you wish to save yourself from the aforementioned indignities, make sure you vote for the Southern Cameroons to remain as it has been for the past 40 years. There you have it. Why a federation with La République du Cameroon will never work. Very interesting. We've come to the end of this article and the end of our editorial for today. If you want more of such beautiful articles, kindly visit our website at www.abcambatv.com for more. Subscribe, become a club member, and a part of this winning strategy. Find our payment details on your screen. I am Star Smart and I'm reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba TV.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
It was highly a special one. Thank you so much, Sir Smart, for that report on the editorial. It was highly a special one. All right, fellow Ambazonians, before we bring you the sports report this evening and eventually leave the studio to see you tomorrow, we have SOS Nido in the studio. Aside the fact that it's been a long time we had him in the studio, I think that I've always wanted to also see him. I mean, it's been a long time.
Right.
I'm sure Star is also itching to see SOS Nido in the studio. I mean, we have the last county draft coming up on Saturday. I'm sure that you do not want to miss that for anything. All right, but we just want to find out a few things from Nido before we'll wrap up the news this evening. As you can see, he's already on our screen. SOS Nido, nice to see you. Long as that you've been busy with the draft. How has that been coming? Talking about the county draft, how has that been coming so far? What has the process and the progress been like? We've been on this journey for about 4 months now, if I'm not mistaken. I could be corrected. But what has it been like, and what are we expecting come Saturday as the last county draft?
Yeah. Good evening, Onye and your team, Star, and of course your backroom staff. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Brilliant. Yes. Let me take the opportunity before I answer your question. Say hello to Ambazonians, and of course, 21 gun salute to our resistant and brave ARF on home front, and for all Ambazonians who have tuned in to your very popular studio to listen to you this evening. And just before we get to that answer to your question, I mean, listening to the editorial, it amazes me that way back in 1960, when all of this started, Ambazonians could already see the issues that we're getting into in forming and joining La République. I mean, reading through that report, listen to your editorial from start, it feels like a script just drafted yesterday with all the experiences and everything we've been through. Unbelievable. And which case I read somewhere, one of the UN officials, a late Secretary General at the time that all of this unfolded, said joining Southern Cameroons to La République is like pushing a balloon underwater, and that doesn't matter how long you hold it down there, it's going to come up. It's documented. I'll look for it and probably send it to your studio to read. I mean, it's a wonderful quote. I forget the gentleman's name, but it was the serving Secretary General of the United Nations at the time. He said, joining these two countries is like forcing a balloon. Could you imagine? You blow a balloon, it's meant to be floating, you're pushing it underwater. It wouldn't stay there any long. So thank you. Yes. Back to the draft. It's been a wonderful journey. Thank you for keeping an eye on this. And I must apologize that our lines haven't crossed for a while in your studio. But of course, if you look through your track, I was here last week a couple of times. I've been popping in on different programs. I was on the Ethic for Emerging Nation a couple of times in your absence. Of course, you're not involved in that. So our lines didn't cross then. Yeah, but I'm keeping busy with the draft and, of course, work and the rest of other things. It's been very, very hectic. But as any journey, the draft, is getting smoother now, getting towards the end. It was a rough start. We had to cancel the initial draft date, which went through on your TV. Then we had to reshuffle the schedule that we had already. But once we started going, it's been going as smooth as possible until, I'm already feeling a sense of regretting of not doing a draft in the next couple of weeks because we're down to 1 county now and 2 departments. You remember we sort of switched in and did ABC draft. So we have 2 departments to go, and of course the Federal Capital Territory to draft on Saturday. And thank you for this opportunity. And I thought I must come in today to remind you for all the sacrifices you have made. This one today, Saturday, is our territory, capital territory. So everything we've done, we've got to double our efforts for the federal capital draft on Saturday. I recognize and appreciate, and I cannot thank Ambazonians enough for all the sacrifices that they have made during this draft season. But to crown it all, and as if was done by divine, we kept the federal capital. There's a saying that he who laughs last laughs best. So amongst the counties to be drafted, the last county to be drafted is the federal capital county of Fako. We're calling on all Ambazonians, every Ambazonian, to come out, just like we have done for the BLM, we've done for Ndian, we've done for Meme, we've done for all the other counties. This time is the federal capital. Please come out in your numbers. Dip your hand in the pocket deeper and know that huge sacrifices, highly appreciated. But we would request an appeal that we are in an era where everyone listens to ABC, either directly or indirectly. And what we want is Sunday morning, Monday evening, next week, when they turn to ABC, they should go, wow, that is the target. So we need to come out and make this happen for the federal capital. I cannot thank you enough for the opportunity to come and invite Ambazonians. I've got a summary of what has gone on, but I think instead of giving this summary now, I can give a better summary at the end of the draft season, sometimes in mid-November or so, because the last draft session is around the 5th November. And so the week after that, or a couple of weeks after that, I can come in and analyze all the figures and, of course, use your screen to show Ambazonians what we've done. So far, we're just a few steps away from $1 million draft for so far. And so at the start of this, the target was $1.4 million. We are a few dollars away from $1 million. This is why I'm making this appeal to Amazonians to come up. Let us stop $1 million and, of course, top $400. Usually don't want to I don't let you down. Don't let me down. Please, the target was $1.4 million. We are that close. We are that close. If Ambazonians can come out the way they have done for all the other counties, we can meet the target. So, fingers crossed, we will be sensitizing and sending you more information, and we'll bring in the chairperson, the executive members of the federal capital. I think it will be important for them to come and speak to their people in their dialect. There are one or two platforms out there that people are listening to, but we appeal to Ambazonians to listen to ABC and get your family members, friends, neighbors to tune to ABC TV on Saturday and donate to draft for Fako County, the federal capital territory for Ambazonia. You're an emerging nation, you're an emerging country. There are 5 LGAs in Fako. There is Boya, of course, Muyuka, then there is Victoria, Tico, and Edinao. All of these people, this is the capital territory, and we need this. If we were to look at the forecast, we're looking between $70,000-$80,000, and if each of these LGAs could draft just 10 Ambazonians, imagine 10 Ambazonians drafting per LGA would give us $50,000. And if Ambazonians bring, averagely this year, Ambazonians have supported each county between $23,000 and $28,000. I'll break all of this down at the end, and you can see the sacrifices that Ambazonians have done. So people actually draft for counties more than the people of the indigents of the county have drafted. There's so many counties we can name. There's Meme, there's so many. But we're going to put all these figures together, and we cannot thank Ambazonians enough at the end. So, but we want this figure to double on Saturday. We would appeal for Ambazonians to double their effort, so we can meet the target that we set ourselves at the start of this journey.
All right. Thank you so much, Nido. Thank you so much, Nido. But I couldn't help but notice something. You didn't do your usual routine of the gun salute. What happened today?
Well, I didn't know how much time you allocated for me, but I could always do it. We're here now, so yes, yeah. Sometimes some habits get you get used to them, and then you just let go for a moment, and then you go back to them. That's what happens. Yes.
Nido,
So
we understand
please,
that Fako
thank you
County,
for all you're doing
it's
for
very
Ambazonia.
important. We at Undaunted believe the county draft for Saturday is very important due to the fact that it's like the last county, and it's also the federal capital territory of Ambazonia.
Absolutely.
And uniquely where the President Ikome Sako is from, actually, if that is correct.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, maybe
thank you for reminding me. I should have
mentioned.
said that. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I missed that. Thank you. Our commander-in-chief is from the Tico LGA. So, and I've heard Barrister Fru is drafting full for Tico LGA. So, there are many Ambazonians who are going to support this, our federal capital. That's why we're making this appeal for many more Ambazonians to join the call. Thank you, Star. Thank you for that. Oh my goodness, I don't know where I would have kept myself if the president were to ask, did you mention my LGA? So please come out and support the Tico LGA. Thank you.
All right. So what is your department, if there's any other special, unique thing about the Federal Capital Territory, FACO, that I missed out, you could just let me know. But then what is your department doing, as the Department for Finance and Resource Mobilization? What is it doing to mobilize, people and make this county draft so bigly that we get close to the mark you have already mentioned? What do you think you can do, or what are you already putting in place to make that possible?
Oh, absolutely. First, I'm on ABC to make this appeal Tomorrow, we're meeting with the executive of the Federal Capital Territory. We're meeting with the executive to plan a strategy, just as you're saying. We're going to issue invitations to Ambazonians. We're going to make phone calls. We're going to send animations through ABC. We're going to make news headlines through you. We're going to send adverts. We're going to do flyers to make sure that every Ambazonian has an opportunity to be reminded about Saturday. And of course, we'll meet with them again on Friday just to make sure that everything is in place. And of course, I would encourage the executive of the Federal Capital to be on Comrade Paddy's very, very popular show. He calls it Pre-Draft, and I think it's one of the very popular watch programs, because people do that just ahead of the draft, and I think it's a wonderful idea. So we can't thank ABC enough. But this is what we've lined up to do to get this all in place. And please, the target is we need to hit $1.4 million as we crafted from the start. We had foreseen this. So come out, Ambazonians. We appreciate all of the sacrifices, don't get me wrong, but what do you do when you're desperate? Just ask for help. And we need help for FACO, for the Federal Capital Territory, for this draft. First, to defend the army, as the president, you said in one of your prelogues, he had declared that all the Ambazonian Restoration Forces are defending the interests of Ambazonians. They are the Ambazonian army, and they have a right to defend that, and they need equipment. So we are the only ones. We don't have any other source of income. We need to equip these guys to do what they are good at. So thank you. I hope I answered your question, but if I left out something, please always add on. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Nido. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to say to Ambazonians watching you right now, because I feel you've already said most of it. But if you do, please, this is the part where you get to say it. The floor is open at this moment.
Okay. Yeah. So one final thing is Saturday is the last county drafts, but we still have 2 departments to go. We still got the Department of Foreign Affairs, and we still got the Department of Health and Social Security to go. But as far as the counties are concerned, we're putting a stop to drafting counties for 2022 on Saturday. Be part of it and come ready to break the records. We set the records, and we will be proud to shatter our own records. So come in, Ambazonians. You've got enough records that we will x-ray at the end of the draft season. But if you want to create yet another record, come out on Saturday, bring your friends, inform everybody, your colleagues, friendly groups, so that people can chip in to support through you. For any WhatsApp group where you belong and you're drafting for the Federal Capital, make friends of yourself. People who love you on that forum would give you support to channel to boost this event on Saturday. That's all I would say to Amazonia. And before I go, please, this doesn't undermine the sacrifices you've done all through the year. We appreciate that. We cannot thank you enough. But he who laughs last, they say, should laugh best. Let's make the Federal Capital laugh best on Saturday. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Nido. It is always a delight having you here. And of course, today, again, it is a very, very pleasant moment having you here with us at Undaunted. With that, I don't know, if you have something.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much, Nido, for coming on the show. I mean, it was short on a short notice, but then you still made it possible. We appreciate your efforts as well,
of course.
Sir. Thank you.
I'm humbled. Right. I'll always pop in if it's possible. Thank you very much. Thank you, and have a great evening.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world, Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
And in sports, Marrakech and Rabat have been confirmed as the two venues that will host the second edition of the CAF Women's Champions League from 30th October to September 2022.
And the matches will be played at Prince Heritier Moulay El Hassan Stadium, Rabat in Grand Stade in Marrakech. Gabellison has more details.
Latest world sports, football. Marrakech and Rabat to host CAF Women's Champions League 2022. Marrakech and Rabat have been confirmed as the two venues that will host the second edition of the CAF Women's Champions League from 30th October to 13th November 2022. The matches will be played at Prince Heritier Moulay El Hassan Stadium, Rabat, and Grand Stade in Marrakech. The final of the tournament will take place in the mythical Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium, the same venue that hosted the final of the Total Energies Women's African Cup of Nations Morocco 2022 on 23rd July in Rabat. 8 clubs will take part in Africa's biggest women club football competition. The Group A includes hosts Asfer Morocco, Simba Queens SC, Tanzania, Green Buffaloes, Zambia, and Determined Girls, Liberia, while the Group B comprises Mamelodi Sundowns, South Africa, Bayelsa Queens, Nigeria, Wadi Degla, Egypt, and TP Mazembe, DR Congo. About the venues. Grand Stade Marrakech. Opened in 2011, the Grand Stade de Marrakech is a 45,000-seat stadium with a natural grass pitch. The inaugural match played in the Grand Stade Marrakech was a friendly interclub match between Wydad Athletic Club Morocco and Paris Saint-Germain France, which ended in a 1-1 draw in 2013 and 2014. The stadium hosted the FIFA Club World Cups. It was also one of the venues for the 2018 Total Energies African Nations Championship in Morocco. Heritier Moulay El Hassan Complex, Rabat. With a capacity of 12,000 seats, the stadium was built in 2003 and renovated in 2012. Located in Hey Nada, the stadium hosts matches of FUS the Rabat, one of the most successful clubs in the kingdom, winner of the CAF Confederation Cup in 2010. The Prince Heritier Moulay El Hassan Stadium hosted some of the best matches of the last Total Energies Women's African Cup of Nations, including the titanic match between South Africa and Nigeria in the group stage and South Africa versus Tunisia in the quarterfinals. Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium, Rabat. With a capacity of 45,000 seats, the stadium located in the southwest of Rabat is the venue that had the largest attendance for a women's football match on the continent, 3rd July. The Moulay Abdallah Stadium was sold out for the final of the Women's AFCON between Morocco and South Africa, a match won by South Africa's Banyana Banyana 2-1. Tennis. Iga Swiatek beats Donna Vekic to win San Diego Open. World number 1 Iga Swiatek claimed her 8th title of 2022 by beating Donna Vekic 6-3, 3-6, 6-0 in the San Diego Open final. The win was the 64th of the season for Poland's Swiatek, who has won the French Open and US Open this year. Vekic, who had finished her rain-interrupted semi-final against American Danielle Collins earlier on in the day, pushed Swiatek but faded at the end. It was a really tight match and pretty long. Swiatek said, "We felt the intensity for sure. At the end, I wanted to be the one who played the last ball in." Swiatek broke Croatia's Vekic, who has moved up to number 47 in the world rankings in the 6th game and held twice to capture the first set. Vekic, who will move up to 47 in the world rankings, broke her rival via a cross-court forehand to take 4-2 lead in the second before she held her serve twice to level. Swiatek quickly took control in the decider and secured victory in the WTA 500 event after 1 hour and 47 minutes when Vekic double faulted. "I wanted to go all in," Swiatek said, knowing how well she can serve. "I just wanted to be more loosened up on my return games, not think too much, use my intuition, and fight for every ball." Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
And with our sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
The Ambazonian Restoration Forces intensify firepower at home front. Ambazonians united in Monday lockdowns. In-house slaves womb mayor taste bitterness and anger and set Dinga bomb Anthony's house ablaze.
Also today, we told you that Ambazonians must be recognized, and that is from the analysis of the president's speech. The armed bandits claiming to be Amba boys have killed a resident of Uncream in Bamenda local government area. And also in sports, we told you that Marrakech and Rabat host the CAF Women's Champions League 2022. And that was it for tonight's Undaunted, bringing you to the news on George Darius. On behalf of Michael Anchor, Steph Smart, and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in. I am Onye Okbala.
We'll leave you see Amba TV Majors. Good night and God bless you.